Hello, everyone. It is Saturday, April 18th, 2015, and you are listening to The Raid. I'm your host, Bronson Fiore, joined by Nicholas McCandless.
Hey guys, what's up?
And Anthony Dutah.
Hi there.
How you gentlemen doing this evening?
Doing pretty well. Been playing a lot of GTA 5 on the PC.
I am so after this Let's Play, I'm the most done with Grand Theft Auto.
But you will buy it for the Steam sale, which means you're not done with Grand Theft Auto yet.
I am done with Grand Theft Auto 5, but if I can ever get Shadowplay working again, we are going to stream GTA 4. Or Anthony could just loan us the capture card and we'll do the PS3 version. Ew.
Shadowplay's not working for you at all?
The only thing that works is the frame rate counter. Nothing else works.
It's super weird. So I've noticed that, I know with the latest GeForce experience, I'm pretty sure before Shadowplay wasn't listed as a beta, but I noticed that in the new update they listed as a beta, probably because, oh shit, there's a lot of issues with it. But yeah, I've noticed some very frustrating issues. So obviously I'm running all these games and like maxed out, 60 frames per second, look absolutely gorgeous. So I want the stream to be able to see that. So through Shadowplay, you're able to stream it to Twitch at 60 frames per second. But yeah, forget about it. It just does not work because with most games, what ends up happening if you stream at 60 frames per second, the stream either just crashes and you'll see, and it doesn't even notify you. Like, there's no way, the only way you'll notice is that little icon they usually put in the bottom right corner, it'll have like a cross through it. And there's no notification that, hey, the stream has ended. So you find out like 10 minutes or 20 minutes later, or like me, I find it out very fast because that's how I don't do the chat on the screen, so I just have my laptop right next to me. But it's very, very frustrating. With Grand Theft Auto 5, though, it's totally different. It doesn't crash the stream, it crashes the game. And I know it's because of Shadowplay because I've put in probably a good 10 hours and have had not a single issue with the game. But the 2 times I tried streaming at 60 frames per second, I'd get to a certain point and all of a sudden the game would freeze, it'd go to a black screen, the game would completely crash. I went to 30 frames per second and it works just fine. So yeah, Shadowplay
in beta.
Yeah, now one thing I will give Shadowplay that once NVIDIA perfects it, it's really cool, is Shadowplay does an amazing job of streaming with little to no effect on your performance. Very, very impressive.
I think you wouldn't even notice on your machine, man. Like with your machine, I don't think you would notice.
The amount of processing power needed to use Shadowplay, really low. Like you could have, according to the GeForce Experience window, it says that, oh, you need an Athlon 2X4630 or an Intel Core i3-2100, which are like freaking, at this point, like 4-year-old processors.
From what I've been
lower end.
From what I've been reading, it's heavier. It's more intensive on your GPU than anything, which I find weird.
Of course.
Yeah, well, Shadowplay actually works on your GPU.
Sense.
That's why you have to have a fancier-ish GPU, which is why my laptop can't do it. My desktop can't do it. But if you have like a new 700 series and up type of thing, you could do it. Or a very specific 600 series thing, then you could do it.
So I can run it on mine, and I have a 765M. And what I've noticed is it depends on the game. Warcraft, no issues. It does kind of fuck up my key bindings though, so I have to play with the mouse. And then Diablo, no problems. Hearthstone, no issues. I didn't have any problems with Battlefield, but for some reason, Heroes of the Storm just made it shit its pants. Like it just would not work. It might be because Heroes of the Storm is also in beta. You know, I'm just stacking beta software on top of beta software. That was bound to go well, right? But yeah, I think it varies from game to game for me. Then again, I don't play it like. I found that the most interesting stuff on PC to me is not stuff that's super intense on the computer anyway. Like Borderlands, the Telltale games, Civ, stuff made by Blizzard. Like most of it isn't like, holy shit, this is gonna fucking destroy my computer. Like most of it's pretty, something that most machines can run. I think The Witcher is the one that is the exception.
Yeah. I've been really enjoying The Witcher 2. It's a really, really freaking
Yeah,
amazing freaking game. Like Bronson
Anthony,
Anthony, if you guys do not own it, they do the next Steam sale and they have it for like $4 again. Buy it. It is
I have it.
so. It is the best $4 I've ever spent in my entire life. It is like, it's so freaking good.
For less than the price of lunch, you
Yeah,
can enjoy
exactly.
a JRPG for like over 20 hours. Steam sales. So evil.
Yeah, I think God, what was it? I know that I bought The Witcher 2 in a Steam sale, and I really liked what little of it I played. I know that
John already
I
beat it because he texted me and he was like, "Dude, have you played The Witcher?" And I'm like, "Nah, I need to catch back up into it or whatever." And he's like, "Man, we need to talk about it because I already beat it." He's like, "It's an amazing game." I think he bought it during the exact same sale I bought it.
yeah, I got it a year ago, and when I played it, I was like, this is not for me, but like I really think Anthony would like this game. Like Anthony, I have a feeling that when you get into The Witcher, you're gonna be like, fuck yes. Is
That
definitely
game
not
looks
for,
incredibly good for its time. Like so freaking good the game looks. Like
well,
unbelievable.
I mean, I'm noticing that just going back and playing older PC games from the last generation, but like because I'm playing them on PC and are maxing them, they look amazing. Like I went back and played I played Burnout Paradise on PC, right? And cranked everything just up, all the sliders up, right? And I put it on 1080p because that's what my monitor runs at, and it was like holy shit. Like that game just like the PS3 version at the time looked good. If I would have saw this at the time, my mind would have been blown.
Wow.
And I
Yeah,
think
that game's old too.
yeah, that game came out in like early '08. But like even BioShock Infinite, like you just notice stuff that just looks way better on it. Alan Wake, same thing. No. I know that like, I own a lot of Steam games, and some of them I just don't give a shit about. Because like I'll buy the Humble Bundle for a game, right? Which I guess that'll be the first game we talk about. The first bit of news here. The Humble Bundle's out this week, and it's the Humble Origin Bundle too. But they also give you Steam codes for the games that are on Steam. And if you are willing to pay $4.92, you get Dragon Age, Dragon Age 2, Peggle, Dead Space 2, Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, War Chest, Command and Conquer Generals, and Zero Hour. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, Bejeweled 3, Mass Effect 2, and a couple more games are coming soon.
That's crazy considering Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare just came out, like, what, less than a year ago?
That was like a year ago. They also have a book bundle if you're into ebooks. And then they also have a weekly bundle, which is the strategy bundle. It's a bunch of indie strategy games. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I get paid in a couple hours here, and I'll probably pick that. I'll definitely pay $1 to get Dragon Age and Dead Space. I'm debating if I want to throw another 40 hours of my life at Mass Effect 2. Like, I've played through that game so much Mass Effect. Yeah, this is where you save money on PC gaming. Everyone thinks of the initial cost and the hardware. Like realistically, for $1,000, you can get a machine that plays everything that's current on Macs. And
you think about it, the most popular PC games out there, you could have like sort of a lame-ish mediocre computer that's 4 years old, and it's probably not going to look the prettiest, but it can reasonably run just
play
about
the
all
game.
the biggest titles out there.
Yeah,
I mean, like, think about it. What are the most popular PC games out there? League of Legends, that runs on a toaster. Dota, that's on a toaster. Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft, StarCraft, and World of Warcraft, they can run on toasters.
Like I'm pulling.
I don't know. I think $1,000 might be a little bit too low for.
No, like you put
like Grand Theft Auto 5, for example. From what I've been reading, I mean, obviously, I can run a 1080p maxed out 60, no problem. But from what I've been reading, at 970, you have to turn down some of the anti-aliasing. So that tells me that if you're spending $1,000, a 970 is the absolute highest you can go. Absolute highest you can go. And that's Grand Theft Auto 5. So then there's The Witcher 3 coming out. And supposedly a 980 won't be able to run that game 1080p max out at 60.
This is insane. But, you know, but like even then, you can get those games to look really good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like GTA 5, like I'm looking at the screenshots of the PC version right now, and it does look great. Like, it looks beautiful. So,
the thing is, yeah, like the textures are super good, but what really makes it pop, in addition to the 60 frames per second and the better textures and
lighting,
everything, the lighting, the shadows, and the freaking environments. Like, whoever thought that adding a shit ton of grass could make a game so much more impressive? But it does. It is seriously. I mean, there's literally a setting for the grass, like grass quality, I think is what they call it. But oh my gosh, it's simply amazing. Like some points where you're like for example, out in Trevor, where he's out in like the middle of nowhere. Some part where there's like just little plots of grass everywhere, and like you can see every single individual blade of grass like moving individually, and they move whenever you run through. It's crazy. It looks so freaking good.
Like, I think my thing is like you can get that game to look better than the PS4 version on a 960. Maybe not at 60 frames. You might have to go to 30.
Oh, right,
you could definitely do it. No problem.
I agree there.
And like,
for $1,000, you can definitely build a PC that will probably outperform the PlayStation 4 its entire life cycle, for sure.
Yeah, like, and you look at the top PC...
Except for exclusives, though, because exclusive really freaking, like...
they're optimized. Yeah. They're fully optimized. Like, but you look at the most popular games on PC on Twitch right now. League, GTA, Counter-Strike, Hearthstone, Dota, WoW, Diablo, Minecraft, H1Z1, StarCraft, Call of Duty, Smite, DayZ, Dark Souls.
Yeah, so most of them can run on almost every computer.
Yeah, Gary's mod. Like, almost all of the vast majority of these, if you're running a 960, you are overqualified. Like, I'm running on the desktop equivalent is a 650 Ti, and I can max every single one of these games except for Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty. And Call of Duty, I can get close. So, not that big of a deal. So, but like I said, you end up saving money on games because, okay, let's say you drop $1,500 or $2,000 now. Well, you're not upgrading if you spend $2,000, you're not upgrading for a long time. Like Anthony and I did our $2,000 build this past weekend, and the $2,000 build had a 980 in it, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, like a 980, an i7, 16 gigs of DDR3, like that. That's like that is more. That'll keep you good for probably 5 years.
Here's the way I look.
Assuming you're one to stay at 1080p.
Yeah.
Well, like here's my personal view of learning how to stretch the future proofing of a graphics card. If you're willing to stick with the same graphics card for a very long time and are willing to turn down the settings as the years go by because games get prettier and graphics cards, can't keep up, you'll be amazed how long you can stretch your graphics card life. No joking, 550 Ti still use it today. I can run a 1080p game on medium or below, depending which game you're talking about.
Well,
still works.
The thing I've started to I've been researching 4K because Nick's been talking about it, and like depending on your screen size, you may not see benefit from it. It's the same thing with a lot of anti-aliasing to a point. Like it's like you definitely see the benefits early on, like 8x and up. But like the bigger your screen, the less you have to worry about.
Right, but here's the thing at 4K though. So I've seen the 4K TVs. Okay, I've looked at a 46-inch 4K TV, and at small, I'm gonna go 55 with mine, but 46 you can definitely tell. Like right out the gate, you can tell. I've seen a 4K, and this isn't even looking side by side. But here's the thing: if you're getting smaller than a 46-inch television, you're probably getting a 4K monitor at that point, and your face is right dab against the screen. So even then, it makes a huge difference because if you're yes, it's screen size, but it's also how close you are to the screen. Because if you look at an iPhone, for example, the iPhone resolution is absolutely fucking ridiculous, like freaking insane. How many pixels they fit into an inch, and same with the Samsung Galaxy S phones. But
Well,
the
that's
reason
pixels
for that,
per inch versus resolution. The resolution isn't that high; it's the pixels per inch that's the difference.
well, right, well, yeah, that's the thing with 4K is you're getting more pixels per inch, so it leads to a sharper image. The reason why they have a higher DPI with the iPhones and these phones is you're using this phone right in your face. It's gonna be the same thing with like a monitor. You may only have a 24-inch monitor, but if you're sitting just a foot or two away from it, you're gonna notice a huge difference versus 1080. That's why they've been releasing a lot of 4K monitors, and most high-end PC gaming enthusiasts will game on a 4K gaming monitor. So, yeah, screen size matters, but it also matters how close you are to the screen, because the closer you are to the screen, the more imperfections you can see, the closer you are to seeing the actual pixels. So, yes, screen size does matter, but also matters how close you are.
The thing is was a 15-inch screen, or if I hook it up to my to the monitor, it's a 24-inch screen, and the difference on anti-aliasing, at least in 1080p, becomes very minor the higher I go. Like, yes, the difference between turning it on and turning it off is relatively large, and but the higher I go, the less the difference matters. And when you're like 4K on a 24-inch monitor, like that's not going to make that big of a difference from what's the other one, 25. Let's call it 2K. Let's just say 2K for easier. Like, the difference between 2K and 4K on a 24-inch monitor is not going to be that huge. So if you're looking to cut corners there, and then I think that not many games are going to be optimized for 4K, or at least early on, because just
I don't know if I agree with that, because there's a lot of games. Grand Theft Auto 5 is optimized for it. The Witcher 3 is going to be optimized for it. There's been plenty of games that have been optimized for 4K.
The thing about the PC market is I'm getting this perception that it gets obsessed with tech and pushing the boundary of graphical tech sometimes, because let's be honest here, what's one of the reasons why PC gaming lives? It's because of the tech. Because the consoles aren't going to push it anytime soon. They're built more for cost effectiveness, whereas a PC, well, sky's the limit, right? I mean, your budget's the limit. Freaking, you could build a $10,000 system with 2 CPUs with 4-way Titan X SLI if you wanted to and had the money to do so. But you can always do better.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some people running...
there has to be some quote-unquote practical push for new tech and PC gaming's to place to do that. Yep. Even if the improvement may be considered minor.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's a big, huge misconception over what 2K and 4K is. 4K, it's 4 times 1080p, but what a lot of people, and I understand why people get confused. So people get confused and they think that, because 1080p is technically 920 by 1080. So they're like, you multiply both numbers by 4. No, that's not what you do. It's 4 times the amount of pixels, so you end up multiplying it by 2. So 4K, by standard terms, 4K is 4096 by 2160. So I just want to clarify that. So, because I know a lot of people are like, 4K, yes, it's 4 times the amount of pixels. That's completely correct, but it's by 2160.
Yeah. This is where math applies.
When you do
1920 when you do 1920 times 1280, what you're getting is an area, which is like you get an area.
So
technically 4K is 2160p. That's what 4K is. It's 2160p.
That is a bit of a confusing
But it makes sense.
nomenclature.
It makes sense because, okay, they call it 4K because it's 4 times 1080p. And that's completely correct. If you multiply 1920 by 1080 and then you multiply that number by 4, you will get this equation. You will get the 4K resolution. So I know a lot of people get really, really confused over that, but I just wanted to go ahead and clarify that because when I was streaming, I think it was Tuesday night, someone asked me about that, and they're like, "Oh, it's whatever times 4096," and I'm like, "No, that's freaking 8K. Like that's ridiculous." So I did want to clarify that.
I think like this conversation we're having right now is the exact reason why so many people are not willing to go into PC gaming. Like this exact fucking conversation.
Like before you even get into resolution, I always use this argument, like for PC gaming, it's like building a PC is easier than ever. Yes, once you have all the parts, it's sort of like Legos, and with toolless cases, it's easier. It's cooler. It's awesome.
Love toolless cases.
Oh my goodness, toolless cases! I have discovered the magic of toolless cases. Like, oh man, it's so easy. But
yeah, thankfully I had the pleasure of never having to experience building a PC without a toolless case. So I
built mine with toolless. I built my like the case I had to recycle. You needed tools to screw in all the bolts, but aside from the bolts to hold down the motherboard, not really much else to bolt in. So that's pretty nice.
I only had to use a screwdriver once. I mean, because I kept the same case, so it's the same same case I had before.
You need a screwdriver to bolt in your aftermarket heatsink and the motherboard. Right. After that, toolless.
Yeah, I had to screw in the power supply on mine. I had to screw in the power supply. I had to screw in the motherboard, and
but like.
That was it.
I know. I saw someone with Alienware's new case, and like you unscrew one screw, and everything else is toolless. And I was just like, "That's wonderful. That is the best."
Yeah.
The nice thing I like about mine, I know a lot of these are also, as far as the hard drives go, it's so easy. They're just like these little plastic trays that just like lock in, and you can unlock them to pull it out. So like putting a hard drive in is so easy.
Freaking, I put John's hard drive in and just clicks into place. I'm like, this is magical.
Yeah.
Freaking, like, oh my goodness.
Hold on. This is how you know this particular podcast is for nerds. And this is how I say this. I put in the hard drive and it just clicked into place. It was, and I quote, magical.
Well...
You say that to a normal person, they're gonna be like, "What
to be honest, Bronson, if you have ever seen how convoluted and, for lack of a better word, fucked up my hard drive arrangement in my case is, you would understand why I thought that was so magical."
Oh no, I completely understand.
My case was so screwed. This isn't just you put a bolt on the side of a hard drive and slide it and lock it into place. No, if you looked at my system, I have a CD bay. That has a bracket, like this bracket thing that allows you to mount 2 laptop hard drives and a regular desktop drive to it. So I converted a CD bay drive into a hard drive bay because I don't have a hard drive bay, and my secondary hard drive is mounted on the floor of my case. So the wires are running everywhere. The wires up top are all cramped up because there's a CD drive and power supply up there. Like, if you saw this thing, you would think this is like, who the hell thought this was a good idea? But I had to deal with it. Hence why sliding into John's case was so magical.
That's not as bad as mine, but mine was still shitty on my old case. You had to like angle it, like, so the side part didn't fucking open. So you had to angle everything around. And not only did you have to angle it around, the edges, because it was like every bit of that case was made of metal, including the outside, it was super fucking sharp. Like it was like, oh, let's stick your hand into razor blades to effectively do this.
Yeah. Old PC cases, you will spill blood building it. Nowadays, not so bad. You just slide and click things in, and
the blood is how you get the processor to work. On those
for
Pentium
me,
4s.
the blood is how I get things to fit and work properly. But the problem
building a PC isn't hard. It's just there's a couple things. It's first making sure the parts are compatible. I mean, my issue when I built my PC was like, okay, I'm just going to upgrade the graphics card. well, crap, I can't necessarily do that because my CPU will be bottlenecking my GPU, and I certainly don't want that to happen. And because I'll use an AMD, AMD's processors suck. So I'm going to go Intel. Well, that means I also need to get a new motherboard. And because I want to use Intel's latest chipset, that also means I need to go to DDR4. And before you know it, I have a whole entire brand new machine. The only thing that is the same is the case. Literally just the case is the same in the fans. Obviously, that's just a part of the case.
This kind of goes back to the point that Bronson was making about why people shy away from PC gaming. Like, frickin' Nick, like, here's the thing. Like, Nick, you knew what you were doing. But when I looked at the picture of your system, of your old system before you took it apart, I realized that CPU heatsink you had was a generation old and would not fit onto your new build. So I had to recommend you a new heatsink and fan, because you showed me the V8 GTS and I thought you had the new generation GTS, but I've noticed that you had the old first generation.
Yeah,
GTS.
Cooler Master is stupid for that, because they need, like, if you're gonna make a new revision, you just need to make it a new model. Like, call it something, like, add a number onto it or something.
Version 2, if you have to.
Because what happens is I look it up and I'm like, cool, that's the exact one I have, cool. And thankfully Anthony called it out, because I'd have been mighty pissed if I would have put this thing together to find out that the fucking thing I had doesn't work.
Yeah, and that was just one problem too. Like, here's the thing. Back in 2011, I had to do some research to figure out the difference between an H61, H67, Q67, P67, and Z67 chipsets for the Intel LGA 1155 processor socket. I couldn't even, honestly, can the average consumer just figure that out? I mean, yeah, you could research it, but honestly, by the end of the day, they would probably just want to just buy a PlayStation 3 at the time and just plug it.
Because it just becomes, at a certain point, it just becomes very frustrating, because there's all these, like, you might research, like, the basic parts, but then, for example, like me, I'm tech savvy, I know exactly what I'm doing, I've built a computer before, and I could not figure out why my computer wasn't turning on correctly. And there's a million different things. Was this not put in right? Was this not put in right? Is there maybe one of these parts is defective from the get-go? Like, what the hell is it? Thankfully, it ended up being just something simple in that, never try to boot a machine the very first time with a capture card in it, because it will think it's a video card and wonder why it's not outputting video from it. So that was a learning experience. But let's say you build this machine and let's just say one of the RAM sticks is defective right out of the factory, and that keeps your entire machine from building, entire machine from working. Then you're going to be like, what the hell? You're going to be like, oh, is the graphics card not doing good? Is it the processor? Is it this? Is it that?
Yeah, the good news is
that... So,
that...
assuming it boots on and everything's good, yeah, it's not difficult. But that moment that something doesn't work, that's when the shit becomes a pain in the ass.
That's when you have a small panic attack, one. And two, and not only do you have a small panic attack while that happens, it's like, for the average person, it's just a lot easier to go to the store, buy a PS4 for $400, plug it in, follow button prompts on the television.
Or buy a gaming PC from a company that already manufactures it, but
that has a warranty.
But be prepared for probably a 30 to 40% markup on it.
Oh yeah, like even on our gaming PCs that we're selling, like they are. We're taking as little as a cut as we can, and theoretically still make profit and everything. And it's still really hard. Like it's not the cheapest.
Because you gotta think about it. Like, yes, these companies are buying them in bulk, and yes, they're getting discounts, but you have to pay the people to build it and their knowledge and the actual labor of putting a PC together. Because if you're putting together PCs for a living, you'd probably do it a lot faster than we would. But it still take. I mean, if you're gonna put it together right, you're still talking about at least an hour, hour and a half.
I've seen really, really good people do it in about 45 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So you're talking about an hour's worth of time. You're talking about obviously the warranty aspect of it. There's some type of cost involved with that because a certain percentage of the computers are gonna have issues.
I would just like to say
you're providing the fact, yeah, I mean, some of these warranties are like 2-3 years. A lot of these companies, they include free shipping, and shipping a freaking 40 pound computer is not cheap.
I know on all of our TGA machines over at Moondog, we do a lifetime warranty on parts.
Lifetime?
So, I believe so. It's some ridiculous warranty.
So if it breaks down 15 years later, you're guaranteed a new system, right?
Oh,
because that's like the only logical thing I could think of.
That's definitely something to check because if there's a lifetime warranty, that's fucking insane.
When you stick lifetime on something, that's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Actually, remember
it might be as long as that specific part is in production, but still, like even then.
I actually remember there was this NVIDIA graphics card company from way back in the day that actually gave a lifetime warranty on every graphics card they sold. I mean, the company went out of business like in 2009. They were called BFG Tech, and they were famous for overclocking NVIDIA cards and giving lifetime warranties. And I remember I had my 5700 Ultra died, and what did they send me? They sent me a 6600, but because my motherboard is a piece of garbage, it wouldn't work with the 6600. Ugh.
Yeah, that's the thing where like a lifetime warranty, yes, it's great for the consumers, but in order for you to offer, you usually have to have a much higher markup because at some point the thing's just gonna die. It doesn't matter how good the quality is. At some point, if someone's playing their gaming PC religiously and that thing is running freaking hours and hours every single day, it's technology. Shit eventually dies. Just like human beings. Our bodies are only meant to last a certain amount of time, and they can only take so much. It's exact same with PC hardware. It's the same way with cars.
I almost want to say that there's probably some catch to the lifetime warranty, because believe it or not, in the automotive industry, they actually, I believe it was Chrysler, in the late 2000s when they were desperate to sell cars, they said, look, we will give you a lifetime powertrain warranty, but the major disclaimer is you had to be the original owner.
Speaking of, we were talking about good-looking game PC cases earlier. Have you guys seen Alienware's their Area 51 case?
Alienware and OriginPC have the nicest fucking
cases.
Dude,
I thought like when Origin was offering I believe it was for one of their anniversaries, they're saying you could buy our cases separate. I was like, fuck yes. They sold out like immediately, even though they were ridiculously expensive. Like they were so unbelievably expensive.
When you've got a case that looks like a supercar,
have you seen how OriginPC ships the PCs?
Crates.
In a crate.
Yeah, they do it with laptops too. Someone on my Twitter bought a laptop from them. They sent it in like a mini wood crate.
No, I saw the Kind of Funny guys. They either bought it or got a sponsorship from them, and and like they straight up did a crate. I was like, dude, that is sick. That is awesome. That's even better than the Alienware one. Like I bought both my laptops through them, and they have these boxes that open up, and there's like it looks like you just bought something from like a government agency, and it's in a briefcase.
I can only imagine what the mail people think. Like, what the fuck is this? Like the Origin crates, it looks like they're shipping, like some declassified stuff.
Yeah, like
classified. Sorry.
Like these high end. Like gaming PC manufacturers send the just best boxes ever. Like I've had 2 of those come through my house, and like I know Ray is probably planning to do one of those next year if he doesn't go directly through us for his. And like I'm so looking forward to the mail person's face when they're like, "Here's a fucking another machine in a weird briefcase or in a fucking wooden crate." But no, like. The thing is, though, the markups on these are typically quite large. Alien.
Look,
And it's perfectly reasonable. Like, you gotta understand, like, okay, so your computer, let's just say you're using it one day, it just completely craps out, okay? So you contact whoever. They have to, okay, so some of them, in Anthony's case, they did not want to. Most cases, a good company with a good support system will cover the shipping costs for it to be shipped back.
Oh my,
yeah.
And they will ship it, or they will offer
man.
in-home service.
yeah,
So,
like
okay,
in my case, they sent someone to my fucking house.
yeah,
Like,
so
whoa.
yeah, so you have that in cost. They have that cost that they need to incur. Okay, then they have to go through they have to put someone on it and say, okay, let's figure out what the issue is. They have to diagnose it. That could take up to an hour, maybe a couple hours. So they're paying someone to diagnose it. Then they have to, depending on their agreements with the manufacturers, they might be able to get it replaced for free. Maybe they pay a discounted price. I don't know, but whatever costs involved with that. Then they have to pay someone to put that part back in, and depending on what part that is, it could involve taking the whole thing apart. Because if your motherboard died, holy shit, you're rebuilding the whole freaking computer all over again. So, I mean, you got those costs to incur. Obviously, they have to make a profit. They have, they have to do it. It's perfectly reasonable. You can't expect them to make you a $3,000 computer and only charge you $100 for it. No, they're probably going to charge you a good $500, $600.
Like, here's the thing. Like, whenever you buy something from Alienware, you're just like, well, I can build a system for cheap. Well, there's a reason why Alienware and OriginPC and Falcon Northwest and iBuyPower exist. Security. First off, the higher price markup, they're building the system for you, and they built like maybe thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of systems, so you get a system that works. Two, if something breaks, you have one place to go to, which is the warranty center.
Plus, you don't have to worry about that whole, oh, what if it doesn't turn on, because they ship them to you where they verified that they work.
Like, in the case of Falcon Northwest, they stress test the machine in an attempt to destroy it, and if it fails in any single way, they will rebuild the system from scratch, is I think what their policy is. So some of those companies, they literally max those things out to make sure they guaranteed can handle just about any workload put onto them.
Plus, when you're building it, like with the specs, they have predetermined specs. Like, you can't, most of these, they have like different
they have
versions.
like minor customizations. Like, I just popped on the Alienware site right now. I'm like, okay, you can choose between a 6-core or an 8-core i7. You can choose between a 9.
Well, Alienware doesn't. You can't even get a 4-core i7 through them anymore.
Let me check. No, their lowest end is this is for their legit ass desktop though.
Well, yeah. Their lowest end is probably what I have then, the 5820.
Their lowest end is a 5820.
Because I know with the 6-core, I was like, what's the next version up? It went to like the 5960X, and that's like $1,000 processor. I was like, that's not happening.
This is okay. So this is their 1700.
Especially since I'm using it just for gaming, there's no reason why I need that.
Okay, so this is a $1,700 machine through them. You got that processor you just mentioned. An AMD Radeon R9 270, 2 terabyte 2 terabyte hard drive, 8 gigs of RAM, a wireless card, keyboard, mouse, case. Pretty much, yeah. That's actually not too bad of a build. I'm curious. Bump up to 16 gigs of RAM. Oh, it's 21 megahertz RAM, by the way, for everyone wondering. Oh, it also has a DVD drive. And then bump up to video card I'd actually want. Let's go with a 970. And, yep. So, what costs us about $1,500 to build, you are paying $2,100 through Alienware. Well, right. Actually, no, it'd be about 18 for us to build. Sorry, I forgot about the 6-core.
I do also want to point out that when you pay more for this, you also have the comfort and security of the warranty. So if something breaks on your Alienware, who do you call? Well, you call up Dell and say, hey, my system's broken. And they send a guy over to fix it for you. Whereas if you built your own system and it breaks, well, you're going to have to figure out what's wrong with it yourself. Because if you simply just guess your motherboard and you call it the motherboard company, they're just gonna like put you in the stupid kind of loop probably about asking you, okay, are you sure it's not the video card? Did you try unseating the video card? Are you sure your RAM is perfectly functional? Follow all these steps to test your RAM. Are you sure your processor is okay? Is your power supply having enough power to it?
Yeah, they're gonna try to
like
push
the
the issue on
diagnostic
someone
stuff
else.
is like, oh my god, you might as well just be a certified automotive mechanic at that point. So, and then of course, if you do figure out for sure it's the motherboard, then you have to go through the whole process of contacting the motherboard company, which, man, I keep reading horror stories about how motherboard companies have great parts, but their customer service is complete garbage.
I know that. Also, this is a minor thing, but most of these companies do do cable management exceptionally well. Like they do fucking amazing cable management.
Yeah, they don't want. I don't want them to look at my case. They'll just have a panic attack.
Yeah, I was actually very in. I mean, I'm not saying I'm doing the quality of these other people, but I mean, these people probably put together. I mean, the people that get paid to do it, they're probably putting together 4 or 5 machines a day at least. But I was very impressed with what I did for my first build. I didn't give a fuck, and to be honest, like, I didn't really need the cable management to be that well, but this one, with me possibly having definitely gonna have 2 graphics cards, and maybe at some point.
Did you break out the twist ties, Nick?
Oh yeah, I definitely used twist ties. It was also my freaking what was it? My power supply. A power supply came with like these Velcro straps.
Oh, those are the fucking best, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, those things are hype.
Yeah, so and the nice thing about the case I have, it's the Cooler Master HAF 922 if anyone wants to look at it. The nice thing about the case I have is it has the panel on the side so you can access the back, which is where you're supposed to do all your cable management. And very simple, I just run all the cables through the back and I pop the other panel off, run all the cables through there. I used the Velcro straps and I was on my way. So my build, it looks very, very clean. I don't think I've showed you guys. Actually, I do think I took a picture. I don't know. I'd have to look. But I'll have to show you guys. It's very, very clean. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, my case is an absolute mess. I may know a lot about computers, but I don't really have much experience building them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. To be honest, like cable management, you're not really looking in your machine all the time. Cable management's more for like temperature control. And Anthony, in your case, that's like you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, actually, I kind of do because my fans are ridiculously loud.
I think cable management can help you.
If I were to splurge in addition to the graphics card, if I somehow go, oh man, let's get a 970, a new power supply, I would actually throw a new CPU heatsink on top of that too. If you looked at my case, you could already tell right away that the airflow in that case is going to be shit, and there's no good way around it.
I would never recommend a stock CPU heatsink and fan.
Well, it works. Yeah, like it works. In my case, it's worked, and it's worked for like at this point for a good 2 or 3 years now. It works. It's just a little ineffective, and it's kind of louder because it's pretty tiny. Actually, it works. Because, Intel gave it to you. But however, with like the 6 cores, like the one that Nick has, they don't come with a heatsink, so you have to get your own.
Yeah, they call it their extreme line or something like that, so they expect you to do that yourself.
Which is fine, because when you when you have enough money to spend on something that high end, it's kind of expected that you don't settle for a stock heatsink.
Plus, with ones this high priced, the stock ones probably aren't good enough anyway. Plus, it's like they don't cost that much. Like the one I actually got the one Anthony recommended me, and I did some research and ended up being like the best one under $100. It was like $50, I think, and it does amazing. Like sometimes I'll have MSI Afterburner on just to like see like GPU temperature, CPU temperature, stuff like that. I don't think I've ever seen my CPU get above 65 Celsius. And that's super freaking good for a CPU. 65 Celsius is ridiculously good. So that's under high load. So my GPU does really...
my temperatures, you would have a heart attack.
Yeah, my GPU does super well too because I have MSI's. They put 2 fans on it. Most of the 980s they only have like 1 fan, but this one has like 2 like super big fans on it. So it's actually, it's a big ass freaking card. It's ridiculous. I've never seen it get any past like 75 Celsius. Like 75 Celsius, I think is the highest I've seen that hit. And I was like, are these temperatures good? And I was looking up other temperatures, and they're exceptional, absolutely exceptional compared to what I saw other people doing. I mean, some people, they're running their GPUs at like 100 degrees Celsius. I'm like, that's like boiling temperature.
You should see Bronson's old computer back in the day when I first started podcasting with him. That thing was melting on idle.
To be fair, that's because it had a dysfunction, like it had a broken video card.
I know, but still, that thing was melting on idle, and I'm just like, how does this thing not catch on fire and burn your house down, or at that time, burn his apartment down?
Oh yeah, I remember I would like load up World of Warcraft after playing for a while. It would just fucking, dude, like you'd put your hand on it, you could cook an egg.
That's crazy. Remember the PlayStation 3? How people were using it as a George Foreman grill? Remember?
That's because those early PS3s looked like a fucking George Foreman grill.
Man, those early PS3s also had some pretty indestructible build quality.
It was so perfect too, because what they did with the PlayStation 3 is you take like that curved top off, and then it was just a flat black slate, and it was metal. So obviously it's gonna be freaking hot as shit. So you could run a PlayStation 3 and have it like playing the game, and you could literally fry an egg on that thing if you took the thing off. It's freaking crazy.
Man, like, I look at that and I'm just like, man, cell processing. All that power, all that nuclear energy.
But at the time, the cell processor was freaking ridiculous.
Oh, I mean, like
at the time,
it was a high-end number cruncher, though. Like that's the thing.
Well, yeah, that's why they had that folding for home.
Well, well, to be honest, when you build a supercomputer, yeah, that's what supercomputers kind of do. They number crunch like crazy. You have to be really good at that.
Yeah, but like,
granted, they are a nightmare to program on.
Like, for game use, though, it wasn't,
Well, let's be honest here. Sony was like, the PSP is going to take over the portable world. We are kings with PS1 and PS2. Nothing can go wrong. We can be crazy and still be kings. Right, guys?
Cool, like, I actually just watched a video where it was the two of the high guys at PlayStation now, Yoshida and Cerny, talk about how, they were talking about the decision-making process behind the PS3, and it's like, well, like, we kind of just did what we did with the PS1 and the PS2, and, it didn't work this time around.
Really? Because I look at the PS3 and it didn't really...
I
look at the PS3 and I'm like, this does not look like... we wanted to do what we did with the PS1 and PS2, but I look at the PS3 and I'm like, really? That doesn't... No, the PS3 just... looks like this really, really bold thing that just didn't work out because the PS1 was, okay, PS1 was a reasonable system. The PS2, okay, also a reasonable system, despite the fact that the Japanese government tried to ban it because they thought its processor was powered enough to guide missiles, which, okay. And the DVD player, yay, PS3, supercomputer processing, and Blu-ray, and...
I mean,
man, all that
heat. Like, they... Mark Cerny said, like, you guys were in an ivory tower. You had no idea what the fuck the average consumer wanted. And that was very apparent. Like, I think that the 360 didn't have enough future-proofing. And, like, the PS3 had way too much.
Look at The Last of
Us. It had way too much, it had to take them working their butts off to actually make cell usable. Because, let's be honest here, supercomputer processors, they are not easy to program on. There's a reason why supercomputer processors don't exist in PCs. Yeah.
And that's why NVIDIA has their, what do they call it, the Quadro line. Like, that's like... But that's not
professional. That's professional grade graphics. That's not for like games. That's for like I think AutoCAD and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like modeling of parts and that kind of stuff.
It's the same thing. Like, yeah, if you want a Quadro, you'll pay like $6,000 for one graphics card, but it's not going to give you $6,000 worth of graphics. It's for if you're designing the graphics, and so I mean, you can't always go off the power. You have to look at where is that power located? Because with PC gaming, yes, the CPU is definitely involved, but it's mainly the GPU. Now, we'll see what happens, but that's supposedly going to change a lot with DirectX 12 because supposedly they're going to be able to utilize the CPUs a lot more. We'll see what happens.
I am just sitting here and I'm just like, does that mean my 550? Does that mean I don't need a graphics card upgrade because my 550 Ti will have at least a mild to moderate bump, and my 840M is a likely story? It's like, man, this could be ridiculous, but you have to have Windows 10 to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm
that's
definitely
the
freaking
catch.
upgrading.
You have to have Windows 10. It's not like Windows 7. Sorry, if you stick with Windows 7, you're missing out.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, even though I hated Windows 8, if let's say Windows 8 came out, or let's say they kept Windows 8 and they weren't doing Windows 10, and they said, "Oh, DirectX 12 exclusive to Windows 8," I'd be like, "Fuck it, I guess I have to deal with Windows 8," because I mean, DirectX 12, it's definitely the future. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to believe it, but it gets to a certain point where it's like every single no developers came out and said that this shit's not true, but there's been tons of developers that absolutely praise it.
If this helps my 770M stay relevant for a little longer, I'm all for it.
Just to give you an idea, there was benchmarks put out. Obviously, you can't go fully off this, but there was benchmarks put out. And a 960 overclocked, now keep in mind it was overclocked, but there's only a limit. You can only overclock to, at most, you're overclocking 5 to 10% improvement is probably the absolute top you can go before you crash the system. So a 960 overclocked was performing pretty much in line with a 980 on DirectX 11. So a 960 in DirectX 12 was performing pretty much in line with DirectX 11 running a 980.
With all this,
but that's a huge freaking jump.
Here's the thing with DirectX 12 and these, ridiculous performance improvements that pretty much people are consistently claiming. Can you imagine the graphical leap in games without having to resort to a new generation of hardware? Like, just imagine, what is a 980 capable of? More than a Titan X? What is a Titan X going to be capable of now? It's like, holy crap. And then, of course, you also look at, the Xbox One, and you're like, well, yeah, Sony claims they will never, ever let an Xbox One run faster, but Xbox One runs on DirectX 12, where Sony kind of has their own little interesting...
It's OpenGL.
Well, well, I looked it up. I don't know if it's OpenGL. If it is OpenGL, well, how are they going to be able to say, yo, OpenGL, make a DirectX 12 version of OpenGL right now?
Well, Sony has a team called Project Ice. I don't know if they maybe have a modified version of OpenGL or what they're doing, but Sony has a team called Project Ice, and all they work on is improving APIs for developers and pretty much getting every ounce of the power out of the machine possible. So if it is OpenGL, it's highly customized because obviously Sony has an entire team that they're paying salary to continue improving the performance for the machine. So
it's going to be really interesting because, DirectX 12 has the entire software power of Microsoft behind it. And yeah,
let's also keep in mind the Xbox One is using many of the DirectX 12 features now.
Yeah, the Xbox One's not going to see as huge of a jump because Xbox One uses DirectX 11 with some DirectX 12 features already, so it's not going to be as huge of a quantum leap as with the PCs.
Yeah, plus let's keep in mind that these are yes, the APIs make a difference, but you got to keep in mind the big advantage with APIs with consoles, that has always been the case, is the fact that every PlayStation 4, every Xbox One has the exact same hardware, so it can be optimized properly. PCs, there's a freaking probably at least a billion different configurations out there. So these APIs are more for getting close to the metal, removing some of the overhead so they can take advantage of this hardware a little bit better instead of DirectX 12. Instead of DirectX pretty much telling, hey, you can do this, but you can't do that. It's much more complicated than that, but just to put it in layman's terms, that's what it's doing. So It's not gonna make near as big of a difference on consoles, just because of the standpoint that even on PlayStation 4, even if they're using OpenGL, they still have the fact that they can optimize. And that's what the big thing is with DirectX 12. And I mean, it's not just DirectX. There was Mantle, and then some company bought that because AMD was like, yeah, we're not going to be able to compete with DirectX 12. So some company ended up buying Mantle's technology, and they call it like Vulkan or something like that. So everyone's doing it. Everyone's building these APIs that are like low level, close to the metal. Why is everyone doing it now instead of earlier? Who knows?
I think it's like sometimes I think sometimes nobody really does anything because, well, there was never really any pressure to. Because you think about it, DirectX was basically the standard, and the only competitor that DirectX ever really had was OpenGL. That was basically it.
And OpenGL has their own version of it too. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called,
but back then, like DirectX and OpenGL were just basically the two big graphics APIs on PCs for a while. I mean, like, if you were to take like a class that studied computer graphics code, like not animation, but like the actual code that renders the geometry onto the screen, you usually learn in OpenGL because, well, you don't have to go through the whole DirectX licensing or whatever toolkit that you have to go through. GL is in Linux too, so it works better in a classroom in a way. So there was that. But DirectX and OpenGL. But then I remember like Mantle came out, and that was AMD's card to say, look, yeah, sure, our card may be slower on paper, but with this new API that lets you talk to the GPU and have more control. So instead of like fighting through a bureaucracy to tell a graphics card to do something, you now can clear up a lot of that bureaucracy overhead BS.
Which also gives more responsibility to the developer too.
Yeah, I want this exact action, and it doesn't and you can get the action done in fewer steps, because it used to be the overhead was there to kind of make it more generalized and make it a little easier, but the problem with that approach is bloat.
Yeah, and the thing is that it removes the bloat, but it also gives more responsibility to the developers.
Oh yeah, that's the risk. There's obviously a flip side to this, is that it used to be in
like
DirectX.
Ubisoft, for example. Look how shitty Unity came out regarding optimizations. It was absolutely atrocious. Just to give you guys an idea, I'm running a 980, okay, a fucking 980, and on 1080p maxed out, that game it does not run a stable 60. It comes close, but it does not run at a stable 60, okay?
Oh yeah, that it's the same thing with like GTA 4. Like GTA 4, when it came out, like it was a fucking nightmarish train wreck. Like that game, like I knew people who back when that game launched, and I want to say it was late 08, early 09, had like top of the line hardware and could not run it. I couldn't run it 3 years later on high end hardware. Like I was I can brute force that game to run well now. 6 years later. That. Like there's something to be said for optimization. It's the same thing with emulation. Like the reason that like you can see you see PS2 games emulated now and GameCube games emulated, and that kind of shit is just because you can brute force it. Like you can just say that we have enough computing power here to just go through this without having to have the original hardware. So,
right.
But yeah, like again, there's the flip side to this, is that now that you're closer to the GPU, now you have a bigger responsibility to use it correctly. Because this isn't exactly the correct analogy, but when I studied, there was this class that I did. That had me code things in assembly. And most languages, if you say, if you type something wrong or have some wrong typo or syntax, the compiler might say, hey, you've got a typo here something's weird here. In assembly, you don't really have that. If your syntax is correct, you literally could say, you could say, copy this thing to this place, and it will do it with no questions asked. So you could completely wreck an entire program or literally the entire system completely on assembly. Assembly is so close to the hardware that if you just simply said, I want to copy this memory to this, but you could wreck everything. It's not like that's about the lowest level language I've ever seen. You could go even lower than that and speak machine talk and start talking hexadecimal if you wanted to do that. That is that's terrible, but thankfully these APIs I don't think is like freaking talking in assembly, but it puts you a lot closer to hardware, so you have to actually know what you're doing and you have to be more careful about what you do because, you know, when you're closer to the machine, you don't have as much overhead to safeguard you from those mistakes you're making. That's the risk.
And it's just weird how like all the even Apple with their iPhones, they came out with Metal, which is their latest graphics API. It's just super weird how it's like a switch was flipped, and now literally everyone's doing it. Absolutely which is good. It's good because now you're going to have APIs competing against each other. And, who can get closer while making it still easy? And, I mean, they're going to be competing against each other. And if all APIs are doing that, that's great because that means that at certain point, every game that comes out is going to be using one of these new APIs.
I think these APIs
and when DirectX 12 comes out, it'll be coming out this summer. When Windows 10 comes out, Windows 10's coming out this summer. So, I mean, there's probably going to be, like, Grand Theft Auto 5, I think Rockstar didn't say specifically, but they've hinted at that there's going to be DirectX 12 support. CD Projekt Red came out and said that, yeah, The Witcher 3, it's going to have DirectX 12 support. So, I mean, there's probably going to be an influx. I mean, according to Microsoft, converting everything to DirectX 12 is supposedly pretty simple. Who knows how...
It's simple, but... Okay, here's what I've learned about converting things. It rarely is ever quote-unquote simple. If they say it's simple, 90% of what will work, and the other 10% you have to fix out the bugs.
Right.
Which may or may not be easy. Because just because they say it's simple doesn't mean you just say, oh, change these couple lines, and poof, you got magical performance. Like, it's not that easy, ever.
Yeah, so we're talking about this summer. I mean, so I would say probably either during the summer or by the fall, a lot of these big popular PC games are going to be getting patches, and they'll be patching in DirectX 12 support. So,
all right, it's going to be interesting, for sure.
So, we got some news stories to cover with the PC. The first of which being the Mortal Kombat story. For PC. So, gentlemen, have any of you got to play Mortal Kombat?
I have not.
I have probably played a whopping 35 minutes on the PlayStation 4 today. It's fun.
Ooh.
But let's say you wanted to buy this on the PC. Well, if you did buy it on the PC and played it when you were downloading it, So what happens is you'll play it when you're downloading it. Like certain games have that feature. You know, like, are you aware of this?
I did not know there was games like that on the PC. I knew they were doing that with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but I didn't know they had that for the PC. It just sounds like a bad idea to me. Like, even on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it's like, I'll just wait. Like, the ideal situation is if you're going to download the game, pre-purchase the damn game, so that you can download it days beforehand.
The logic for downloading and playing at the same time is that when you have a game that World of Warcraft did this, when you have a game that's as huge as World of Warcraft, well, it downloads the essentials because people are impatient and internet is not as fast as the disc. So, you know, they downloads the essentials, and while you're going in whatever zone, it downloads the rest of the game that you're not exploring while you play. It helps save time. In a way.
In the case of World of Warcraft, though, like, my first 20 minutes of logging into that game, it's like, okay, I'm going to check my mail, I'm going to check the auction house, I'm going to talk with a few people, like, chances are I'm not going to be doing any of the new patch stuff immediately. Versus this, where, like, I might want to go online immediately, or things like that. So I'm going to read the news story. You're able to download the first 3 gigs of Mortal Kombat on Steam. And it does the standard install where you play part of it while the game is loading. Sort of like a PS3 handles downloadable titles, or sorry, PS4. Except the downloadable data isn't there. It looks like Mortal Kombat X install packs 01 through 29 are there, but they just aren't there. And then the DLC is supposed to be unlocked, but it isn't. Supposedly update the rest of the game is available now, and they fixed the glitch. And same with the DLC, but for the first day or two there, that was the issue.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know.
Also,
at least it's good. It's fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, another little minor thing we talked about on Unscripted Access, but just in case you listen to the rating, you did not listen to Unscripted Access. A lot of people are buying Grand Theft Auto 5, going to stream on Twitch when they first load it, and with Grand Theft Auto 5, there's a key that has to be entered. So Steam has a little pop-up that comes up in the bottom right corner with your Steam code, the CD unlock code, and people aren't thinking about it. It's like, oh, I just got it, it's done, time to go on Twitch, because they want to be first, or they want to walk their audience through the process and all this stuff, and they don't want to miss a minute of it, and they've got people watching, and it comes up for a split second, someone screen caps it, or does whatever, they end up stealing it, entering it before they do, and bam, they just have their game stolen from them. So the lesson to be learned, if you're going to be streaming on Twitch, make sure that you are in the game before you start streaming.
Who is like this,
Oh, dude, there's some Twitch streamers that are pretty freaking insane, dude. There's Twitch streamers that do it as a job, and they literally stream like freaking 12 to 15 hours a day.
No, I get that. I've been, we're talking about expanding our Twitch page, and I've been streaming daily now with my roommate, and the Super Senpai Brothers is growing into a bit of a thing, and I understand that. That streaming, some people do that shit all day for a job, but who is this stupid? Who is
I wouldn't say people. I would not say people are stupid, because here's the thing: it's not like the CD key is coming up and they're like, "Oh, let me stream." It's the fact that they don't know what's gonna come up. There's no way of knowing that. Oh, they require a CD product key, or oh, they're going to prompt this. There's no way of knowing.
There are a lot of PC games that do that though, and to be safe. Better safe than sorry, because maybe it's just because I've had experiences with the games that do that. It's better safe than sorry, and I just no matter what I stream, no matter what it is, I'm either in the menu where the game is loading initially, or the game has loaded. I never do that thing where it's okay, let's go and let's do this while I'm installing the game. I don't know why you would do that. There's not enough of a incentive.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily while you're installing the game, but you gotta understand. Okay, so a lot of these Twitch streamers, they do this shit all day long, and so they might be playing another game. Okay, so maybe let's just say they're playing Dying Light while they're downloading and installing Grand Theft Auto 5, and they're on the stream the entire time. They never cut the stream off, and they're like, okay, Grand Theft Auto 5 is done, guys. Let's go ahead and play Grand Theft Auto 5. Then at that point, it's going to pop up that CD key, and either they forget about it, it wasn't on their mind. It's a very simple mistake. I wouldn't necessarily say that people are stupid. I just think it's a very simple mistake and just a lesson to be learned that if you're going to be playing any game for the very first time, to make sure you do it off stream, because if it requires a CD key and someone ends up taking it and entering it before you enter it into your game, then you're kind of screwed. I don't know how Steam would handle this, how you would prove it. I don't know. I've never had this issue. I've never had to contact Steam about it. Maybe they're super cool about it. Maybe they offer you a partial refund. Who knows what they end up doing. But it's just something that you just got to be cautious of.
All right, well, other news stories. World of Warcraft is getting a new patch within the next month or so. And I'm going to go through the patch notes quote real quick. Nick will be lost. Anthony will know some of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'll be completely lost.
So, one of the big features of the new expansion was garrisons, and they're adding a new thing to garrisons where you can get a naval shipyard. You access you get a shipyard immediately, and then if you level it up all the way to level 3, you can start questing in the new zone to non-jungle. Also, it is called the War Council. There'll be new daily quests available in the new zone and in the shipyard. You have shipyard naval missions. Naval missions are still early on right now in development. And there's going to be new open world questing. Along with all that, there is a new raid at the Assault of Hellfire Citadel. It's in the center of the new zone. It has 13 bosses, including some returning characters like Kilrog Deadeye, the monstrous Gorefiend, or a reanimated Manaroth. So the gentleman from the cutscene. And also Doom Lord Kazak is back as well. They got there's going to be new mounts, which 3 of those have been announced already. And then the last bit is Mythic Dungeons are now on a weekly lockout with a certain item level. And they have now made it so I believe it's 10 of the old dungeons are now scaled to level 100. So, Anthony, you can obviously offer the most insightful commentary on this. Help me out here.
Oh, wow. Well, that is a lot of stuff, actually. Big
features. So the last patch for World of Warcraft was 6.1. It really wasn't that great. Like, they added a couple of new things. They unlocked a raid tier, and they gave everyone a selfie camera and the ability to post to Twitter from Warcraft.
That doesn't... yeah, even you telling me just that, I'm like, that just sounds so lacklusteringly disappointing.
But yeah, I think this kind of makes up for it.
It's like a selfie camera. Ooh. Display the semi-outdated graphics engine of Warcraft with a selfie camera.
But this is an update. Like this is huge. Like this is gigantic. And who doesn't love a new raid tier?
The kind of people that get stuck in the old raid tier and somehow get stuck continuously in the old raid tier for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm actually a raid tier behind with it when this new patch comes out. I really need to get on my shit. Funnily enough. Anyway, this seems cool. Like, I think so. I'm gonna be honest, Anthony. The garrison is the most addictive feature added to World of Warcraft since the beginning, since they started expansion packs, because it gives me a reason to log into the game every single day.
Really? Because I thought you already did a pretty good job with that.
Well, this adds to that because, like, even if you really don't have time to play, doing all this garrison shit takes maybe like 25 minutes. You know, you send all your followers out on a mission, you do your work orders, you do your herb and mining, and then you can log out. And you collect rewards to build out your garrison more, you get money, and in some cases, if you're lucky, you get gear. In the case of my particular garrison, I get exclusive quests to only people who built those buildings. Like it, you know, like I said, it gives you a reason to log in every day. Even if you are like my problem with one of the last WoW expansions is like, okay, I geared out my character, I cleared the raid tier, the last raid tier, I don't have anything to do. You know, I can PvP or level another character. That's what I ended up doing, was I made a mage. But with this, it like the garrison, like you always want to upgrade your garrison, or you always can get something for your garrison. Like in the last patch, they also added a jukebox. So you can play music from other zones in your garrison instead of just the standard garrison music. It gives you like 6 songs to start, but like every day, if you go talk to the person next to you, he's like, "Oh yeah, there's a music." He gives you a clue to go find another music scroll, and you have to solve it and go find the scroll. Like like some of them are super easy. Like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah, Pandaria, fear," which is pretty much it's in the heart of fear in Pandaria. So like stuff like that. I think that adding on to that with a new type of mission, like that's super awesome. I don't know. That's what's going on in Final Fantasy right now? Are you guys on that like what I call the sorry everyone, the raid's going back to its roots right now. But Anthony, is Final Fantasy having that thing WoW has where it's like the 4 months leading up to the expansion, it's just like nothing is going on?
There's not much going on except what used to be a raid that you could only do if you had a preformed party is now in the Dungeon Finder. It's called the Duty Finder, but Dungeon Finder is the WoW equivalent. So you can now
LFR Dungeon Finder. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically the equivalent of Dungeon Finder. There's no LFR. Okay, there's just one mode to the Coil of Bahamut, and the problem that some people run into is you actually have to pass the hardest. There's like 3 different tiers, I guess you could call it. There's the first Coil of Bahamut, the second Coil, and the final Coil. And in order to get from the first to second, you have to finish turn 5. To get from the second to the third, you have to finish turn 4, but most people just call it T9, turn 9. And this is like really challenging stuff. There's no easy mode to this. And
I just want to say, you guys are speaking Chinese to me. Just saying. I have no freaking clue what any of you guys are saying. But continue.
Continuing, this is
That's
like
only
the hardest,
Chinese I know, Nick.
Yeah, this is the hardest stuff in the game, and what they do is that over time they make it easier, so they give what you call the idiot buff. We just call it in the game.
So Nick, I'll explain this to you. In World of Warcraft, raids are traditionally very challenging. So having them that level of difficulty for matchmaking would be a terrible idea. So if you want to do raids and matchmaking, they lower the difficulty of it. Like, it's stupid easy. Like, if you die, you just aren't doing your job. So what they did though, because if you suck that bad, or just don't care that much, if you keep dying, it gives you a 5% buff to everything. Keep dying, it gives you 5% extra each time, up to, I believe it's 40%. This in the WoW community is what is known as retard strength.
Retard strength?
Yes. Yeah, it's... Ooh, like, every time there have been points where I've been matched into a group that has this buff that is, like, on the 3rd boss of a raid, and I'm just like, oh, Christ. Like, that...
Well...
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so what they really did is that it's kind of frustrating because there's no easy mode, because sometimes I just want to like see the story, or I don't want to like deal with the frustrations of having to find a group and then trying to be friends with them, and then I don't know, there's a lot of social BS that happens.
Yeah, you are starting to understand the benefit of LFR.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of social BS that happens in just like if you kind of, or I should say, socially challenged, and you don't exactly have a list of super high-end people that you can call on for help, or if you're not in what people call a static group, well, guess what? You're kind of out of luck. You're stuck. Like, I've seen people who like done all endgame stuff, have like basically taken care of all the primal fight trials, and are stuck in the first Coil Bahamut still because they can't get past turn 5 because, well, let's be honest here. When you dungeon queue for that thing, you're kind of hopeless, because when you have fights that are that mechanics heavy and you need everyone on the same page, but not everyone is, you're pretty screwed.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Hence why T9 is a headache. And if you somehow get into the final coil, the final coil is now available in Duty Finder. So instead of having a static where you can only run it like once a week and only get like one piece of loot a week. They now made it duty finderable, and you can get as many rolls as you want if you could somehow clear T9, which I can't. And oh my goodness, it is ridiculous. Thankfully, in the new expansion, there's this place called, I think it's called Alexander. There's going to be a normal mode and a hard mode, so that gets me stoked, because that means I can go through normal mode, hopefully, and see everything in the story that I wanted to, and if I want to try hard mode, I can go ahead and do that, instead of, like, freaking this stupid coil thing that I really wish I could finish, but because it's the hardest thing in the freaking game, I can't do it. And finding a group is, like, freaking, like, holy crap, like, man, yeah, it's a little frustrating.
No,
you know, as my voice clearly suggests, I am a little frustrated by it.
I feel your pain.
Here's the thing, okay? Stuff like this is what makes me think sometimes why World of Warcraft, from a gameplay perspective, is better than Final Fantasy XIV. I love Final Fantasy XIV. I love Final Fantasy XIV way more than I love World of Warcraft. At the same time, I highly respect World of Warcraft and understand that it is a better design game because Blizzard is that huge and they've had more time to work with it. Whereas Final Fantasy XIV sometimes feels like a World of Warcraft clone with a Final Fantasy face on it. So, you know, bit of an unfair assessment there. But there are times when I kind of thought, you know what? I may not have had a guild in World of Warcraft back in the Cataclysm days that did anything together. I was just kind of like the odd guy that just tacked on the roster. But when I went into LFR, I was not the most clueless idiot in the whole place. And guess what?
No,
I got to see Dragon Soul. I get to see the final fight to kill Deathwing. And you know what? That was good enough. I didn't really care about, you know, looking for statics and being that special group on the server that could finally one day kill Deathwing the hard way, the real way for the epic loots. I just wanted to see Deathwing die. And
no, like that's what it's for. Definitely.
It's like, and here's the thing, aside from the fact that, you know, I had a couple of people come up to me and say, yo, Heart, stop attacking the gel thingy on Deathwing's back, because I couldn't understand that mechanic at all. Daily Boss Mods didn't tell me anything about that part. And
no, that mechanic was stupid. There
was just some rolling counter, and I just went with everybody. But because I'm a Huntard, and with Hunters you can just face roll and still win. Okay, I went along with it. Okay, and, you know, alright. And, you know, I sometimes wish Final Fantasy had an equivalent. Yes, I get it. Okay? It kind of sucks that I can't find a group for turn 9, and, you know, maybe turn 9 is too hard for my liking, and I'm not exactly a high-end raid person. I just kind of want to, like, see the fight and at least just do it and pass it even if it's in easy mode.
I used to be a guild master. Like, I used to be a guild master back in the day, and like I remember, you know, that, and like I remember that, you know, some weeks it's like, well, this fight needs this, and we don't have that in the guild, so we're gonna have to go pug it. And the pug we got fucking sucks, and I want to see the next part of the story, but the pug we got sucks, so I have to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing that sucks too, is that when you're not like in a high end raid, or if you're not like famous or quote unquote popular enough to build your own group, you're kind of screwed. In the way Final Fantasy XIV is set up, you're kind of screwed. Okay, because then you have to deal with the politics and the bullshit and the socializing aspect of trying to get a group, and then you're hoping this group will help you out, but then the group falls apart, which means you gotta build another group. Like, that kind of BS, I'm sorry. That is too much of a headache. Like, it's like crap. Like, this freaking, you wonder how so much drama happens in MMOs. This is exactly how drama happens in MMOs sometimes. It's basically just people, you know, you think you got the group, but you don't have the group, and then you're friends with people, and then you're not friends with people, and then you get this drama, that drama, and all you wanted to really do at the end of the day is to just pass this one thing, but because it's so hard, you have to either have lots of friends in real life, or made a static, and pound your head against the wall 5 hours a night, 4 days a week, just so you can pass this.
Sounds like a job.
I do not want this to be my job. I just want to pass it. But you know what's going to happen? Worst case, I'm going to wait until the expansion comes out. I hit level 60, and then I'll just take me and, you know, some pals of mine, go back to that, and one-shot the whole thing. Worst case, we'll do that. But man, it's frustrating when you just kind of sit there and all of a sudden you know, I've seen people get snubbed out of groups. I've seen people gets snubbed out and everyone else gets to go, oh, hey, look, see, I've passed. Goodbye. We're going to go do some cool new stuff. Oh, you're locked out of. Like, the politics and the butthurt gets pretty strong sometimes.
I think that's one thing I really liked about when I ran a guild is, like, like, we didn't... we didn't scrub one out. Like, we were very accepting of people. Like, the thing with us, though, is, like, we were willing to stick with you and put you on the raid team as long as you, like, were willing to get better. Like, go read, like,
See, the thing I've learned is that is kind of rare. That is a rare thing, is what I'm learning.
Oh, no, like, we had this...
holy crap, like, talking about learning things the hard way, this is one of it.
Like, we had a mage in our guild named Kia. And she was an okay DPS that had some trouble, and we're like, okay, go to this website, do what it says. And then she does that, and over the next 2 weeks, she became the second best DPS on our raid. And we're like, oh, shocking, And I think that's like so many people are impatient, like they're not willing to grow a raid team. And I get that.
This is exactly why I don't play these games, because there's way too much.
Nick, like, freaking, here's, like, one of the perils of the MMO. No, I did not watch Second Six again. This is just from my own personal experience.
You should watch that movie. You would like that movie a lot.
I probably would, because, goddamn, here's one of the perils of MMOs that you have to be careful about, or anybody who's considering going into MMOs because their friends are recommending to them. Yes, it is a video game, but it is a video game played by real people. Real life type dramas seep into these games.
And that's exactly why I avoid. There's just I like playing a game.
If people want to avoid the game for that reason,
I
totally understand, because some of this drama gets absolutely terrifying.
That's actually one thing. Like, the thing I realized, I was in #1 guilds and top guilds basically from when I started playing World of Warcraft until till the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King. And what I realized is, like, okay, you can either be a world first guild or a top guild on the server, and try and build one of those by poaching people, by grabbing people, or you could focus on having fun with cool people and grow a raid team that's not the best raid team in the world, but competent. And that's what I'd rather do. Like, I just pick people.
That, though, sometimes can be hard. I mean, like, it's like, I mean, what's the equivalent in real life? It's like trying to find that one job at that one company that does what you just described. That stuff feels rare. It feels like it doesn't happen, because like I said, these games can feel like real life. Like, you can have crappy guild leaders just like real life crappy managers. You feel like you have this problem in this guild, but it's not getting addressed. Much like how in real life, you have this job where you don't like this one thing, but the manager does not address it. It's like again, real life type dramas seep into this game, and it gets really scary sometimes.
I mean, I definitely get that. Like I said, I think everyone wants to have a raid team ready to go an instant, early on and now. The thing is, though, is you can probably get going and faster and be a more competent raid team if you pick a bunch of people who've been snubbed from other guilds or aren't getting into raid teams and go, okay, you're not that great at the game. Here are some places you can make you good at the game. Do what they say and work on improving yourself. You're going into the raid spot Saturday or whenever your raid. Our raid days were Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hella late at night, especially for an East Coast server. We were raiding at we start our raids at 9, but because it was the East Coast, we were starting our raids at midnight.
Man, that must be fun.
So which for the people on the East Coast, it was kind of badass. It's like at midnight we strike.
The midnight launch of the investigation team.
Yeah.
Oh man, that just brings back some old memories from that guild when it still existed for like the month I was there.
Yeah, no, oh man, it's a shame you weren't around.
Yeah, I know. It's just like Cataclysm happened, and there were so
And it
many
just
reasons why
died.
that game just. There was so many reasons why people just left that game. One, they thought, oh, it got too casual. Two, oh, it's not hardcore enough. Three, people hit adulthood. Four,
3, the game got too
they
hard.
got tired
like it went,
of it.
Like a
Well,
lot
that's
of
my
because
thing.
it got
Like,
too
just
hard.
hearing you guys talk about this, it sounds like a freaking job to me. Like, you have to be on at specific times.
Okay, well,
You have to acquire new people. You have to train
Well,
them in a way.
here's the thing. It is totally possible to make it a job because I have literally seen people who go after the hardest stuff in the game, and what do I see them exclusively do in the game is hunting that one kill just so they could be one of the rare people to say, I beat this. But most people that I've seen groups like this, we just go, so what days are you available? Oh, midnight? Okay, yeah. And then it's not like we say, it's not, or at least in the groups I've been in, it's not like we exclusively say, okay, we're going to go this and we're going to hunt progression all day long. No, it's like, no, we just get together to do whatever the hell we want. And if it's something really cheap and easy, we'll go ahead and do something really cheap and easy. Like, that stuff is fun.
I think that, you can either go one of two ways, Nick. I think you can be a more casual group, like the way I ran a guild, which was, with the exception of our raid team, and like the fact that our raid team had to be on at a specific time on certain nights, everything else was really casual about our guild. Like we had guild rules. Don't be a dick. Help other guild members. If you're on the raid team, don't stand in shit. Yeah, like that was pretty much it. Like, and we, like I said, we had a really good group of people, and it's the reason, I think the reason ours worked is because, well, I looked for people who, in our guild advertisements, when I went on forums and went into the game to advertise, I was like, yeah, we're looking for raiders, we're not particularly looking for anything else. Like, you just gotta want to raid and get better and be available on these certain days. Like that is a very, very broad, just boom, 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 boom. This is what we need.
Yeah, I think that stuff is hard to find because.
Well, yeah, because I said, everyone wants that instant progression. Like, Anthony, if I told you right now, you could be part of a guild that is just new and forming.
That carries you.
No, that doesn't. Well, that does, no. I was actually the opposite route. A new guild that's being built that has a bunch of players who are relative amateurs who are going to grow and work together. Most people are going to say fuck no. Because they want to be able to kill and get their loot and get through the raids fast as possible, as efficiently as possible. Like that, which I feel kind of defeats the purpose of those games. Like, these are about having fun.
It kind of defeats the purpose of whatever happened to you and a bunch of friends just get together one day and just laugh at how much you screw up. Like, I remember some really hilariously embarrassing stuff that I've did in raids before, and we just sit there and we just laugh. I just said like whoopsies, and everyone starts laughing because it was such a hilariously stupid mistake that I made. Like, for example, there's this one fight where Shiva from Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah,
the Ice Lady. Okay, so in Final Fantasy 14, she is a primal fight. So one of the things is that in the extreme mode, which is the really hard mode, whenever she pulls her sword out, you're supposed to turn her around, so when she swipes her sword, the party shares the damage. Well, the thing was that hard mode is the easier mode, much easier mode, and my brain was a little stuck in extreme mode, so what I did was that I turned Shiva around, but instead of the party sharing the damage, it killed like 6 out of 8 people. And I just stood there and I'm like, oh, shit.
I think
now, if it was a high-end raid group, it would be people coming down on me saying, "What the fuck, man?" But if it was like casual group, we just sit there, we just start laughing because it was so hilariously stupid and embarrassing.
I think ours was like I said, I think ours was a happy middle ground where we were progression raiders, but we were casual progression raiders, which is kind of weird to think about. And I remember when we were doing Ice Crown Citadel back in the Lich game, we beat the first 5 bosses and we were on the 6th, which was Rotface. And he had this mechanic, where, okay, one person needs to kite this ooze in a circle around and not go through the group. The rest of the group needs to stand behind the boss and not stand in the ooze. Then the tank takes the boss. And people would just stand in shit all the time and die. And I was like, guys, this needs to stop. Like, I typically don't get, like, it got to the point where, like, I did yell. I was like, fucking stop standing in shit. Please. Like, I don't care if it takes forever to kill him through damage. Just, you cannot die. You know? And of course, some people don't listen, or some people just aren't paying attention when it happens. And our first kill of the guy, like people are dropping like flies progressively throughout the fight, but kind of slower than normal. And we get down to like the last 4% of his health, and like one of the healer drops dead. It's me, a warlock, and a healer, and then I drop dead, and the warlock and the healer are the last one alive. And then the warlock is just about to die, gets 2 spells off, dies, and then the last one hits, and then he dies. The healer's the last one left. That was how we got our first rot face kill. Yeah, like it was, and when moments like that happen, where you're like stuck on this boss for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes a month, and you finally kill him, you're like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, it's the best thing ever.
I remember that I got I think it was either the first or second turn 1 kill that I got in Final Fantasy 14. It was because it was funny the way that boss fight started. It was because, okay, so summoners can have little pets, is basically the case. The Garuda pet apparently didn't listen to the summoner and did a YOLO poll. So that was one hell of a botched poll, and that somehow got us our team 1 clear that night. That was hilarious. Sadly, it wasn't on video. Shame.
Alright.
But, yeah, MMOs.
MMOs are fun. Hey, Anthony, have you heard of this genre known as MOBAs?
Yes, I have.
There's this game called Heroes of the Storm I heard you had a beta key for.
Yes, I did. I'm in it. I haven't played it yet, though. I just looked at a bunch of characters and I thought, ooh, if you know how to sell me on a fucking game, these character skins are pretty fucking awesome.
I'm telling you.
Sorry about the language, but I was kind of stoked just on the character skins alone.
Yeah, hey, man, that's not the first time that an F-bomb has been dropped on this website.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah,
are you sure about
that?
We are good boys, right?
Yeah, we totally don't swear. We totally
have some really awkward sexual innuendo puns.
Yeah, Anthony Todd totally doesn't fist his way to victory.
Yeah, totally.
No, oh god, I know that. I'm saying this weekend, you, Ray, John, and I, and if we can get the girls on, should all do like some Heroes of the Storm. Maybe even stream it. That'd be pretty great.
That would be good for a stream.
Also, this weekend, Anthony, you and I need to. I've been trying it on my own, and I've been failing miserably. We need to figure out why the fuck my Shadowplay isn't working, because it's been driving me crazy. Because I've been wanting to be able to stream PC games, and like I've like gone into the Windows service list. I've updated drivers. I've updated the GeForce experience. I've gone through all this crap, and it's still not working. Have you uninstalled
it and re-downloaded it?
Oh yeah, I haven't tried that for GeForce experience yet. I can do that.
I would try that.
Some of the PC software is just complete shit sometimes. Like, I remember there's this tiny little itty bitty utility that comes with my MSI laptop. It's called the Dragon Gaming Center.
Oh god.
Does absolutely nothing as far as I could tell besides tweak some minor settings, has an Instaplay button, and gives you a temperature reading and power consumption, and like it gives you like minor little information bits. It's like, man, for a Dragon Gaming Center, this thing is not really as sophisticated as I hoped.
I've been very much considering just saying fuck it and downloading OBS for free. Do you guys know what OBS is?
Is it like some free Twitch software?
Yeah, it's called Open Broadcaster, and it's, Joe turned me on to this.
The one I've heard about that's really big is what, XShare or something like that?
I don't, no idea.
I have to look it up. It's X something.
XShare. Oh wait, no, that's something. Nope, never mind. That is something totally different. You don't want to go there.
I
You
can
do
guess what
not
that
want to
is.
go there.
What
Well,
is
you
it
may want to
freaking?
go there, but
What is it freaking called? That's gonna drive me nuts now. There's one that I was actually gonna recommend that we look into because freaking everyone using it. It's supposedly
is that the one
like
where you can do the Twitch alerts? Because I've been reading about that. I've been trying to figure out how to
yeah,
get it running.
yeah. It's called.
Oh
Gosh,
my
what's
god,
this
I am like
called?
crying at all the crap we need to buy over the next year, like the next 2 years. Like I'm like, okay, well we got one camera, but we could probably use another, and we're gonna need microphones for those
X
cameras.
Split. That's what it's called. X Split.
Oh, okay,
It's free though,
okay.
but it's called X Split. So we need to
I
check
know
that
the Twitch
out.
alerts software I was looking at, that shit wasn't free, but that yeah, there might be a free one. I know that like I just like I looked at like all the hardware that we could use. Like there's the need category, the like we could definitely use an upgrade category, and the I just want it category. And like I looked at all the prices for each of those, I just wanted to cry. I was just like, oh my god, just because like I looked at, I was like, okay, Stephanie definitely needs a new computer, and that right there at minimum is probably $1,000. And then like Anthony, you just got a camera for the site, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How is that thing? Is it good? Is it cool?
I have zero clue because I don't have any storage for it right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm actually trying to get a 128 gigabyte SD card for it.
Okay, yeah, we should.
And I'm gonna like carry, and one of these days I'm gonna carry it around the city and just film some random places and random conditions, such as, hey, here's what it's like to use in a really noisy car on the freeway. Hey, here's what it's like to try and zoom in on Mount Rose using the optical zoom thing, so we could see if there's anybody actually snowboarding down that mountain that's quickly losing snow because wow, it's getting warm this week. You know,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Um,
So it's gonna be fun putting it through its paces. I just need to get storage for the darn thing because the model I bought does not come with any built-in storage.
does that thing have a mount for a lamp or no?
No.
No.
Crap, the camera's like on the other side of my room.
Okay, don't worry about it. Because I
If
know
there
that,
is a lamp, that lamp will have to come with its own batteries,
yeah, I'd imagine.
obviously.
Oh yeah, that's how they always are for the little portable
Um,
ones.
And the camera is small enough that I'm pretty sure you can't really exactly mount a giant lamp on it.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do it the old school way where you hold with one in each. I've seen both. I have seen both. I know.
It's gonna be really interesting. Oh yeah, and we need to start shopping some handheld microphones.
Microphones, or I would actually almost prefer lapel mics. Like, well, or not lapel mics, but like shirt mics.
So yeah, those
Yeah,
are
but the
weird
problem with the
for
shirt mic
those
is
are
that it's
weird for
stuffed.
interviews though.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
shirt mic. The problem is that it's stuffed up against your shirt. That's the thing.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are cool if you're doing like a one person thing, but if you're doing interviews, it's better to have microphones.
Yeah,
Plus,
I
there's
know.
a much longer setup period with those because you have to get yourself wired. Well, you can keep yourself wired, but even then, you have to get the other person wired, unwired. It's just a pain in the ass. It's better to use just a standard microphone for that.
I would still, yeah, I would still like to get, I'll just. What is the technical name for those, Nick? Since you probably know,
For what?
for like the mics that clip onto your shirt.
Oh, those are called lavaliers.
What the? Oh my god.
There's
Yeah,
a
like
lot of-
that's what I'm using right now. It's called a lavalier mic. That's what I use for podcasting.
See, this is like enough. See, now here is a bunch of production jargon that I don't understand.
Okay, lavalier mics. Like, I would
Like-
eventually like to move to those for recording, just because of like an uptake in audio quality. Like, obviously, we're not going to do that anytime soon, but like eventually.
Right.
Eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. Ugh.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, the only thing with lavaliers you have to be careful of is like you said, because they're attached to your shirt. Like if I were to
Can't
get
move
up and
much.
if I were to get up and stand right now, you would hear it.
Oh, we
It's just-
hear when you do it. We know.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
hear you
when
on
I-
the podcast.
Yeah, when I attach my mic, you could probably be like, "Oh, Nick's coming," because we hear the rumbling. Yeah.
Um,
So
Yeah,
But they're
I know.
super nice. That's what you use, especially for like web, like what I was doing at Bite Size, and even before that with like Nick's Gaming View and stuff like that. That's what I use. I'm using the same lob I did when I did Nick's Gaming View.
Yeah, I
So
know. But yeah, then I looked at the fact that like, okay, Stephanie could use a computer. I looked at the fact that like I just looked at all this shit. I'm like, I added up a budget. Like if we were to get like equipment across the board for like the ideal situation for everyone equipment wise,
we're probably talking about 10, 15 grand.
it was roughly 12 grand.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, like I did like 4 microphones, a second camera, 2 capture cards, a decent editing laptop, another decent desktop, and I was just like fucking I wanted to like cry. I was just like, oh my fucking god, this is insanity.
The realm of running a site with little to no budget.
Yeah, like it's fun. Like I remember back in the day when Anthony
Well, one thing it does do is it forces creativity. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I remember when Anthony and I did our first Let's Play, and we had to use his old desktop with it was like it was a TV tuner, right? Like that's what it basically was.
Essentially a TV tuner, not meant for real time footage of any kind, but it was the only practical thing we could get our hands on. So here I was dragging an entire desktop.
What'd you use the TV tuner for?
We filmed the first I forgot how many episodes it was, but we did like 2/3 of Chrono Trigger on that thing.
Like our first Let's Play.
Oh my god!
Super Megascope Playtime. When it started, we were gonna do Chrono Trigger, but we didn't have any way to film footage except through this crappy TV tuner. So that's what we did. We dragged an entire desktop and a laptop. So the desktop filmed stuff while the laptop filmed audio, and then we had it hooked up DVI to HDMI to Bronson's TV. And because for some reason audio just didn't go to the TV, we had to drag in a pair of desktop speakers that sat nearby so we could have sound.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
Okay, the first 36 episodes.
I remember one of the episodes of it, we actually filmed to show how screwed up our setup was.
It was 36 episodes.
Okay, so I say about the 2/3 mark was when we
so that's
got the new capture card, and it was like, oh my goodness, the picture quality.
The picture quality.
We were in love with the thing at the time. I mean, nowadays we like to bash on how the thing's
nowadays
broken
we
half
just
the time.
Curse on it. Like we can't the biggest reason I want to get us a new one is because of Twitch streaming for shit that isn't obviously for the PC we can do Shadowplay or Open Broadcaster or XSplit, and for the console, for 2 of the consoles we can do share, just the share button and the whatever the Xbox version is called. But on the Wii U and on retro games, we have to use the capture card, which is a problem. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's it's less than desirable right now. It still works for a lot of stuff we do, but if you intend to stream for more than an hour and a half at a decent level of quality, it causes issues.
To be brutally honest, the thing works really well once you get around the buggy software. It was just that we never actually twitched with the thing at all until the beginning of the year, which then revealed the obvious.
Well,
let's just say that it definitely was a product of 2012. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that when I think of things that I want to get for the site in the future, it's a new high quality capture card is definitely near the top of the list. So talk about all that fun hardware.
Oh man. But hey, when you really want to do something but don't really have the tools, you come up with really good ways to make things happen.
Omnidirectional microphones.
Hell, you know what? At the time, that was actually a pretty darn massive upgrade. I mean, the quality kind of dove off the cliff because the handheld mic was better, but you could talk whenever you want, like a normal conversation, instead of waiting for the microphone to come your way.
Yeah, like that was a big upgrade. I remember I remember when we moved to a regular, like, I think it was 2012 when we got that Audio Technica mic. That was a big upgrade. Um, the overall computers that we've had have definitely upgraded over time. Yeah, I am just I like right now I am currently in the process of planning a mini series we're doing this summer, and I'm trying to find the cheapest possible route to do it. And like every possible path as I've gone down to plan this is expensive and makes me want to cry. Like I'm just like, because hey guys, turns out copies of Mario Party are fucking expensive.
Man, yeah.
So there's that. And then not only are copies of Mario Party super goddamn expensive, N64 controllers are expensive. And then, okay, we have to capture N64 footage. So there's really only one option, and it's a splitter, and that is the only thing that's really cheap. What it is, it's a composite. You put composite inputs in it, and then it turns it into digital signal.
Assuming it is a quality digital signal that isn't all screwed up.
Yeah, and that's assuming it doesn't cause delays with input.
Yeah, and
with
I'll
inputs.
tell you from my home theater experience, if you're converting composite to digital, it has to be a powered box. If you get one that's not powered, it's going to be shitty.
All right, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Because like right now, I am like the cheapest solution, or what will probably be the cheapest solution, is buying them on the Wii, the regular Wii, and just playing Mario Party with classic controllers. Which I know a lot of people.
That's what I was thinking. Why don't you guys just do that?
Well,
Because
you still have to buy the games on the Wii.
Which those are $10 a piece, so that's $30. And then and then the classic controllers for Wii, if you want the Nintendo ones, which we do because we don't want a piece of garbage, are anywhere from $15 to $20 a piece, and we need 3 of them, so at minimum $45. Now, luckily for the GameCube games, we're in a good place. We have controllers and we own copies of Mario Party 4, 5, and 7. But we still need Mario Party 6, which that is $43 used.
Okay, wow.
And Mario Party 8, this is where it starts to get expensive, gentlemen. Because Mario Party 8 and 9, I'm pretty sure I can get through GameFly, but I'll double check right now.
Mario Party 8, if you get through GameFly, I don't think so.
Well, I'll check. Nope. No way on Mario Party 8. Mario Party 9's kind of a maybe. And Mario Party 10 is no problem. Because it came out last month. But let's find out how much copy of Mario Party 8 is going to cost me.
Depends what condition you want.
Okay, if I want it used, $20. Alright, not bad. Mario Party 9, $30. That's shitty, but I'll take it. And then Mario Party 10 I can rent. But like this is just a collective, this is going to be I believe this is going to be probably one of the best things we've ever done for the site when we get around to doing it. But the process of getting this organized has been a nightmare for me.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, so that quick calculation, that's like $170 to make that happen.
Let's find out. We got the 45 for the controllers at minimum, the 30 for the games. Then we can throw in the 45 for Mario Party 6, the 20 for that, the 30 for that. Then we throw on. Is there anything else I'm forgetting?
The composite converter.
Oh no, that's if we need if we're doing the Wii, we don't need that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So uh, ends up this is going to be a 107 endeavor.
Yeah, I was like right on the dot. See what we do for you guys.
Yeah, like that.
Man,
That's that.
like here's the thing, okay? Like we may
No,
have
the
a
worst part of
website,
this whole
we may have a
experience. No, hold on.
website, and we have all these game consoles, but we really don't actually have that much of an operating budget.
Yeah.
Or okay, well I wouldn't say operating budget. A budget to just buy things.
Yeah, just to handle the traffic for the site, it's $313 a month for hosting. Freaking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
and then it's like whenever we do 60-minute access, well, GameFly and Game Rentals is our friend.
yeah, like,
and we sometimes have to like pass games around, like, oh hey, let's do Hyrule Warriors. Let's well, we either rent the game or we, have a staff guy bring the disc in, and sometimes for us to like get into a game properly, like the early days of Smash on Wii U, we would sometimes bring entire game systems over, plug it all in, just to get a proper look at a game.
Yeah, to give you an example, like we keep the GameFly account running, right? Like right now we have Mortal Kombat out, and then like the most advantageous thing to adding new staff beyond the stuff we can do is the fact that if they're in Reno, that's another person who will be buying games, so we don't run out of shit to look at. But like because between me, Anthony, Bremen, and John, and now Ray, he's not a member of the staff, but he lives with me. We effectively buy pretty much every major release in a year, or we'll have access to it through our GameFly accounts. So that's how we get around that little like mess. But then there's the accessory stuff, and like there's all kinds of stuff that we do to get around like the expensive parts of this. And anytime we get a review copy, we are so thankful for that. Like you have no idea how unbelievably thankful we are. Like people just assume like, oh, review copies, those just fly to you guys, right?
Well, you kind of have to get approved for it, and if you do get one, you have to write a review on it, and then there is the pressure of you gotta finish it on time.
Yeah.
Or in a reasonable amount of time, I should say. I wouldn't say on time, because that could sometimes mean rushing. I would say in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, and then there's the fact that some review copies aren't super great. Aliens, Colonial Marines. But
oh man,
I'm gonna hold on to that until the day I die. We'll be covering Yakuza 5 at E3, and I'll be like, so that whole Aliens, Colonial Marines thing.
You say that, and we're gonna get kicked off the list.
I was joking. But,
I know. I'm just. It's like,
I find it fun. Like, I know it's completely coincidental, but I love how they were sending us like review copies, and then like that game comes out, it's really bad, and I gave it a 3, and suddenly just disappeared. Didn't ever hear back from Sega again. Anyway, we I don't know, Nick. What in your opinion? What is the most nightmarish operating cost?
Well, I mean, it's probably the hosting, because it's like I said, it's $313 a month. So you're talking about almost $4,000 a year going just to hosting the damn website. $4,000 a year, yeah, like $4,000 a year goes just to keeping the site up. That's it.
Yeah.
So hosting's definitely the biggest expense right now.
Yeah, and then on Anthony and I's end, it's definitely like equipment and it's equipment and things of that nature. But we like doing it. We know you guys love it. Um, I look forward to the day when we have an office and I can just be like, oh my god, we need this piece of equipment. Do an expense report. We can get it. Like that day will come, and when it does, I will I will do a backflip on. I will attempt to do a backflip on camera when that day comes.
I will keep that in mind.
So, like that is the plan.
But
Anyway,
you'll have to do that outside the office though, because I don't feel like filing a insurance claim report the first day in the office. First day in the office, filing an insurance claim because one of my employees broke his back.
Not only that, but if Bronson does a backflip and it goes awry, he could end up landing on the table that causes maybe about 2 or 3 of our PCs to crash onto the floor.
It would be funny, but it would not be funny.
It's funny for everyone else to watch, but for like someone like me and you who have like invested a lot in these potential awesome systems is now on the floor, potentially broken.
Yeah, it's just like, hey guys, we're here at the brand new TJ office.
Or maybe we're in the TJ office, but we're so broke that if our only coffee table breaks, well, crap.
Yeah, here we are in the brand new TJ office with these brand new computers to celebrate. Bronson's gonna try doing a backflip. He freaking does it and breaks all the shit we have.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Oh man.
Then it'd be like, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah, that would be an episode for What the Hell.
I think that people don't realize what the operating cost for something like this is. They think, oh, you write and make videos. You need a camera and a computer, right?
Well, let me tell you, when you're not exactly making that much money, stuff's expensive.
Even when you are
just a $200 camera. Actually, that's
still.
You don't just poof $200 in front of you just to buy a camera.
Yeah, that's when Anthony and I sit down to buy any equipment for their site, we're like, well, do we really need this?
Like I said, this goes back to me and my GeForce 550 Ti. You'll be amazed if you're willing to downgrade the quality for a little bit. You'll be surprised how long you can stretch the future proof of a product or piece of equipment.
Yeah, it goes into that whole, do I really need this thing? Is the conversation you have to have.
I was editing video reviews of 720p HD games in 480i with a garbage capture card, which, by the way, was that same capture card we used to film Chrono Trigger. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
some of that footage is just so fuzzed up. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's the same thing of, this capture card right now. If that thing breaks, then absolutely. Tomorrow, Anthony and I split the cost of a new one. That thing fucking goes out tonight. It's like, all right, Anthony, you pony up 100, I'll pony up 100. Let's get a new one. But right now for the capture card, it's like, do we really need it? No.
Would be nice, but the video quality is still good. Things turn out fine. It's just the streaming is very inconsistent. That's it.
Yeah, it's like a new television, a new TV, and where we record isn't needed. But we use the one at my house, and I want one, and it's going to be a nice upgrade. So when that happens, it's not a need expense; it's a want expense. But yeah, it's. Yeah. Do we have any other PC gaming topics?
No, I think that covers it.
Yeah. That's good. Good week, guys. Good week.
Did we have any comments on the episode last week?
Yeah, I should probably pull those up. Nada. Nothing. But you can always check one of my inboxes or a forum. Okay, quick, interesting question. what is your opinion on gaming laptops?
Depends. Depends. Like, does portability matter to you? Yes, then gaming laptops are a very viable option. Like, that's like the first step. Because let's be honest, their laptop is going to sacrifice quite a bit of graphical performance because it has to fit into a slimmer build. If you're looking for only occasional portability, you can get a 17 or 18-inch screen if you're willing to pony up the cash. Because believe it or not, 17-inch screens actually sell pretty well. Desktop replacements, they're usually called, because they're so big and bulky that you don't really describe them as portable in a I carry it around frequently kind of sense, but portable enough to say, oh, I just want to carry it over to a different house kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that like portable, like here's the thing is how often are you portable with it? And is the cost difference worth the portability also? Because to get like, first off, I can't get the equivalent of Nick's machine portable. It just isn't possible. But like, if you want to get the equivalent of like a high-end machine portable, you're going to be paying significantly more. So like, I bought a machine that the desktop equivalent was the 650 Ti, and like, if I wanted something that was like the equivalent of a 660 Ti, I would have needed to buy like what at the time was a 780M. So like that is where so you're almost always gonna be behind as far as performance goes, and it comes down to how important portability is to you. Like for me, portability at the time I thought would be kind of important, but it isn't. In college though, it was very important because like I was at campus a lot. I was on campus 4 hours a day sometimes, and especially at night, and I'd want to play games. So I was like, well, here we go. I think the one advantage to gaming laptops now is they are getting cheaper. They're still expensive, but like for a good gaming laptop, $1,000 to $1,500 is probably what you're going to spend, which isn't horrible. It's not great, but it isn't horrible either.
Right. Yeah, my whole thing is I wouldn't personally buy one because I don't game on the go at all. Like I game at my house. That's it. So I have no use for it. My MacBook is great for what I need it for, which is to do my work. If I need to edit video, I can edit video on it. It does everything I need it to do.
One thing I can say is all my laptops have been Alienwares, and like if you like buy an Alien, like one thing I like about the newer Alienware laptops is like, let's say you buy one and your graphics card is starting to lag behind, you can buy that like adapter thing that gives you that you can hook a desk.
Cool.
Like that is super awesome. That's super cool.
I just wonder what their performance hit is though, because it's sending that power through like a cable of some sort, so it can't be
It literally is a proprietary cable that hooks up to the PCI Express bus of some kind, I imagine.
And then the power for that dock plugs into the wall. So
it's a proprietary port. So I'm pretty sure.
Have there been any like tests to see like if there's any performance hits on it?
I imagine there's little to none because, again, it's a proprietary port. Like, so obviously this only works with Alienware systems. So,
right.
I think the idea is pretty awesome because that means I could have one graphics card shared between my laptop and PC, and that could actually be kind of sweet. Like, that's the perk I see here because, like, my PC has one graphics card, my laptop is stuck with an 840M for the rest of its life. It's like,
Yeah, or let's say like you could let your friends borrow it, for example. Like if they wanted to play this game that's graphically intensive, you could let them borrow it.
Again, this is like Alienware exclusive, so it's like.
I mean, like this is who I'm gonna buy my laptops exclusively from in the future, just because I've had really good experiences with them. They get good performance, and I did a price comparison. They're only like $100 to $200 more expensive than most of their competitors, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that much.
How much does the hardware cost? Like outside of, like I understand you buy the graphics card, but how much does the enclosure and stuff cost?
$300.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, you do pay a premium for it, but still, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, like that's like I wish this was available for mine. Like this didn't exist when I bought mine, but like because that's the only bottleneck on my machine. Because like I got 16 gigs of RAM running at 2100 megahertz. I got a near desktop equivalent of i7, if not desktop equivalent. Like the graphics card's the only bottleneck. Like I would absolutely pay $300 to hook a like legit graphics card to this thing.
But then you have to pay $300 and the price of the graphics card.
Yeah, I realize that.
So even a 960, you're pretty much paying the price of a
I feel like
980.
the proprietary part of this is what bites it.
Well, it's that and the like. Here's the thing though, is like I like the fact that like okay, it's been 2 years. The bottleneck on this thing is obviously the graphics card. I'm going to take this. I'm going to buy this enclosure and then spend another $300 on a 970 and have an up to date laptop. Now, like that, or to have like not just up to date laptop, an up to date machine. Like that's super awesome. Like I wish that existed now because I would instead of building a new computer next year, I would just buy this, and save a grand, about a little under a grand. Let's say save $900. You know, like I think if you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna buy like this, like if you're choosing this over a desktop, yeah, that's stupid. Like unless you move around a lot. But like if you already have one of these laptops and the graphics card is starting to become the bottleneck, this is super awesome.
Yeah, it's just that $300 premium you have to pay, and then obviously you have to have an Alienware.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great concept.
Yeah, like I hope this expands to like Origin and other manufacturers. Like it'd be really cool. Like I realize that like so many people like like snub Alienware that are hardcore PC gamers. It's like, oh, you're paying a premium, da 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 da. But like, I'm like, but with me, I'm like, I like the look of their systems. They're well built. They look good. They have the best tech support I've ever seen. They have a great warranty setup, and I know my machine is going to be reliable. Barring dumbass user error like when I spilled water on my keyboard. So yeah. I think that's it, guys. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. You should go to those places.
Yes, Gamer Access. That's our Twitter. That's our Facebook. That's our Twitch. Really simple. Yep. You should go to us on Twitch. I know me and my roomie are streaming almost daily.
We should. This post Saturday, right?
Yes.
So, we should have just finished Grand Theft Auto, and we'll be starting up The Last of Us soon.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be
Bye.
back next week.